I think the strategic staffing program works well. I think that I think we need to continue that. I think we need to look at the schools. A lot of the, I would say, when I say underdeveloped, I mean schools that have a passing grade of 60% or less. There are a lot of them out there. I think we certainly need to analyze those schools and the staffing in those schools to bring it up to the grade level or the quote-unquote 2014 goal of 90% passing. So I would definitely look at those, and I think that when you talk about strategic staffing, one point that's never brought up is you can base a formula. Okay, we need 15 students, say, or for a class size of 15 to 18 students over here at Eastover, we can accomplish that with one teacher and one assistant. But at Harding High, if we have 15 students or 18 students, we need 2 teachers and 1 assistant. There's got to be a formula there that the factor's got to be, or the factor that's not in the formula is, who are those teachers? We tried for 2 years with 2 teachers and 1 assistant. Maybe we need to replace one of those teachers to another area and bring in a different teacher. Does that work? Is it the blood that's in the class that gets teaching those children, gets it more, you know, or can portray it more to the students? It's not necessarily, I don't think it's a factor of numbers, just saying, okay, it's going to take 2 teachers at Harding and 1 over here and 3 over at Independence and 2 over here and this. I mean, you definitely have to look at that, but I also think you can't just look at the number, you have to look at the quality of teacher you're putting in there. You know, because some kids react to a different teacher. I know excellent teachers over at Independence, over at Long Creek, over at certain schools, and some people would say, well, they're in an they're creating an 85% pass rate when the others are creating 60. How can that be? Someone's doing something differently in that classroom.
Keith, let me ask you. I've heard all of what you just said, but help me understand, is there a difference between weighted student funding and strategic staffing?
Yeah, strategic,
because I mentioned weighted student funding, you know, their formula.
The student funding is a formula that just goes to, really, it just looks at students. It costs $8,000 or $10,000 per student to educate. They're saying $12,000 to $14,000 in some schools for student staffing. I think in the disconnect you have now is you've got schools that are performing at a 60 to 50 to 65%, you know, grade level achievement. They're not, and the goal is 90. So you've got to look at, you almost have to say, okay, you have to look at it as almost as a business and say, our cost, we have to see what our costs are with your strategic budgeting, and then your staffing. You have to have the right people to staff it, to educate them, to educate the kids, to bring it up, and you have to look at it as a how much does it cost to fund in Ballantyne or Audrey Kell? How much does it cost to Harding or North Meck or East Meck and you have to see what those numbers are. You can't just use that as a widespread number throughout, because then you'll have great teachers, or maybe some teachers that aren't even being challenged at Audrey Kell because the kids are already passing at 80, 85%, 82% level, whatever that number is. But yet you've got these schools, North Meck or another school, just using those names of schools as examples, that need 2 more teachers to bring their kids up to a 77, and then maybe 79, and then maybe 82, and then maybe, you know, achieve that pass rate that they're looking for as 90% is the goal by 2014.
What would you do differently? And I'm going to frame that sort of in the context of the board just this past year did away with the formula, with essentially assuring comparable resources at the various schools, and that included guidelines for experience level and you know, balance of new teachers and young teachers and experienced teachers, and some of the things that you're talking about that you think are necessary for each school. So since you are concerned about the difference in quality of teachers, what would you do to maybe what policy would you establish, or what would you do to create a better balance in terms of quality of teaching?
I think you need to start with the younger kids and the younger classrooms, and I think you need to start now. Right now, you have probably I would estimate within the entire East Coast, one of the lowest morale amongst your teachers in any school system up and down the border, up and down the coast. I would debate that all day long. I have spoken with teachers. I've spoken with about 150 to 200 teachers in Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools today. I have helped about 25 of them, unfortunately, get other jobs this summer because they were threatened with maybe not having their job through last year's, with the last, saying we're going to lay out 500 teachers, whatnot. All very good teachers. All of them have gotten jobs at either one of the banks or with Queen's University. Right now, you've probably got about, as of last week, it was 342 teachers. They need about 360 teachers. It's gone up because there's been about 14 or 18 that have jumped ship since then and gone to Queen's. So you've got a very low morale. You've got to engage kids at that first, second, third, fourth grade level to get them in and get them really excited about education going forward for those next 6-8 years. You've got to catch them then. We've got great teachers. Out of all the people I've spoken with, I have not had one parent say, "Keith, my child had a bad situation," or "My child had a poor teacher," or "My child we pulled out of East Meck because the teaching was bad, or the principal was bad, or we had a bad gym teacher," or whatever. I haven't heard from anyone.